Welcome back to On the Rise, as Jonathan David has won the 2024 CanMNT Player of the Year award. After an incredible 2024, especially since Jesse Marsh took over, where Jonathan David showed up to play in every single competition, bringing his absolute A-game. Whether it was in friendlies or the Copa America or the CONCACAF Nations League, Jonathan David scored in every single competition, bringing the best of his footballing ability, which now puts him at the top of the Canadian men's national team all-time goal scorers list, and it is well deserved. But he has won the Player of the Year award, and I think there is a actual debate on if he should have won this award. I'm not saying I wouldn't have given it to him, but I believe there's another CanMNT player that deserves an absolute shout and shouldn't be forgotten in this conversation. I think this award went down to an absolute 1A, 1B situation, and I think should have been more of a discussion, and should be more of a discussion, as Moïse Bombito deserves a huge shout and should not be forgotten, as I believe he really should have had a chance to win this award. Because what Moïse Bombito has done in 2024 for this Canadian men's national team is nothing short of incredible. When we were looking at Jesse Marsh's reign, him taking over, getting hired, the question was, how is that back four going to hold up? Is this going to be a problem for Canada? Jesse Marsh, his tactics, his style of play is pace, agility, quick, on the front foot, winning the ball high up the field. And the reason the Canadian men's national team has been able to do that is Moïse Bombito. The pace, the athleticism, the true athletic ability Moïse Bombito possesses is the reason this Jesse Marsh team is able to play as well as they do, and as well as they do on the front foot. It's all down to that two center back pair, and especially back down to that back line. What Derek Cornelius and Moïse Bombito bring to this team has elevated this Canadian national team to a whole nother level. And especially we saw it in that first friendly window against the Dutch and the French, when we went in and took a result away in Bordeaux on the road in hostile territory against a team preparing for the Euros, against some of the best attackers in world football. With only one game under their belt, under the Jesse Marsh tactical system, Moïse Bombito proved that he is ready for the task. And we saw it going into the Copa America after that Moïse Bombito stepped up to it. And this Canadian team is ever so well being built on a strong backline defensive unit. And yes, goals win you games. Yes, what Jonathan David does is consistent. He now scores on a regular basis. But what Moïse Bombito has done has been incredible to watch. We were always worried as Canadian supporters, what's that back line going to be? How is it going to hold up? Is it going to be good enough to stop certain attackers? Now, our back line is probably our strongest part of our team, and Moïse Bombito is to thank for that. He stepped into two incredibly difficult games to make his debut and to start his Canadian men's national team tenure. And that was under a brand new manager and in really completely hostile territory. And since then, we have not looked back from playing with Moïse Bombito and Derek Cornelius. And Moïse Bombito against France, we all know, after that performance, it put him in the shop window, got him that transfer to OGC Nice, and has become one of the best center backs in Liga. He is a true athlete, he's a true defender, and what he has done for this Canadian national team, I don't think can be bad an eye. And I really think there needs to be more of a discussion within the Canadian soccer realm about who deserves that Canadian men's national team Player of the Year award. Because when you look at Jonathan David, everyone wants goals. Everyone wants to score goals. And I don't blame anyone for saying Jonathan David deserves that award on his own without a conversation. Because what he's done at the club level has been incredible. He's done it for so many years in Europe. But I think the defensive ability, the defensive recognition doesn't go to Moïse Bombito as much as it should. Because when you're looking at this Jesse Marsh team, are we really scared now to play against certain teams and to get hit on the break from a Geraldo Becker like we used to be? No, and that's down to our back line. That's completely down to Moïse Bombito. I remember watching us even against Panama in that friendly. So many balls went over the top, so many times in transition. Moïse Bombito sniffed and cut that out. And that's down to that back line. And I absolutely love watching a strong defensive unit. And the reason, like I said, we're able to play so efficiently in the high press and so high up the field now is because of the back line. And there's also another player who I think is a solid third option who doesn't get the recognition as well, is Alistair Johnston. What Alistair Johnston does is so consistent, so regular. We went on that crazy run of seeing him start so many consistent games, and I don't think we ever really see Alistair Johnston put a foot wrong. Does he ever make a major mistake? I don't remember the last time I saw it from him. At the club level, he was so good for Celtic once again. Most Canadians who are getting into the game don't recognize how big of a job he does for Celtic and how big of a club Celtic truly are in the world of football and the history they have, the atmosphere, how big of a club they are. And what he does consistently for them and for Canada is such a great job. And yes, at right back, he's not the most flashy of player. He gets the job done. He's always asked to do the dirty work. Alphonso Davies is the one who goes up the pitch. Alistair Johnston sits back, defends, works extremely hard, and I don't think he gets the recognition either. But this back line, Moïse Bombito, Alistair Johnston, build a strong unit. And yes, when you look at Jonathan David's stats throughout the year, he scored multiple times in Copa America, having 2 goals in crucial games against Uruguay, against Peru, to get us that win against Peru, scoring as well in Nations League, as well as having 2 assists. But also, when you look at the defensive contribution from Moïse Bombito in Copa America, only having 2 rough games against Venezuela and Argentina, where Canada ended up advancing and also losing 2-0. But Moïse Bombito is just a phenomenal centre back. I don't think Canadians truly sit and think how lucky we are to now have a defender like Moïse Bombito. But also, I'm not saying Jonathan David didn't deserve that award. I think this is just a discussion that I think needs to be talked about more, given more recognition to our defenders, realize how good they are and why we are able to play how we do with Jesse Marsch, because that's all down to our back line. Without our back line, that unit is not the same. And we also got to remember, if we had that back line that we had going into the World Cup, this team would not be playing the same. They wouldn't be able to play on the back line as well. They wouldn't be able to step up the pitch as far as they do. They wouldn't be able to turn and play in the transition as quick as they do on the channels, because those 2 back lines are completely different. And this team that Jesse Marsch has inherited, has trained, has got playing his unit, is another level, another style of play, and extremely exciting. This wasn't a discussion where I want to break down stats and give you why I think Moïse Bombito should win the award over Jonathan David for stats-wise, because that's never what this was about. I love both players. I think they both are deserving of an award. I don't know what award you can give Moïse Bombito, but I think it's such a close award. I don't think you could argue with either player winning it or losing it, because they both deserve it. It's just a thing where we can be so grateful for the players we have at this national team level, and we just got to continue to give them the recognition that they deserve, because both these players have such a integral role for this Canadian men's national team and arguably could be our 2 most important players on the CanMNT. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Do you think Moïse Bombito is so important? Do you think he should have won the award? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Break it down. Let me know what you guys have to say down below in the comments. Make sure to smash that like button. Drop a sub. The support is absolutely incredible. I'm going to try and continue with as much content as possible. And I'll see you guys for the next one. Peace.